Chapter 5, The Arrangement, Tuesday, November 14th, 2006, lunch, last period. The chapter opens with the cage, a word diagram showing the concrete wall, the teacher cluster, monitor, both his desk, etc. We continue. During lunch recess, I sat at the teacher cluster with my main man, Scott Mucus, Benji Nakamook, Levon Ray, and Jelly Rothstein. Vincey Portite would have normally been there, but he had a long-time secret crush on a girl in normal classes. He wouldn't tell us who. And once or twice a week, he'd leave the cage for lunch recess in order to look at her. No one who was there with me that day had to be except for Jelly. She was on 2 weeks cafeteria and recess suspension for telling the hot lunch ladies there was corn on her wiener and it hurt. After she said it, her milk carton dumped out on Angie Destra's shoes, and Angie cried into the sneeze guard over the pudding. People started calling her, "There's no use, Angie Destra." But the name didn't last long because it took too much time to say. So it got shortened to No Use Angie and There's No Angie, which became TNA. And that's the name that stuck because it sounded like T-N-A, and Angie Destra didn't happen. Sometimes milk just falls off the tray, and that kind of milk is spilled milk, not poured milk. Spilled milk's the kind that got on Angie Destra, but people leave Jelly poured milk on Angie, and Jelly wanted for them to persist in that belief, since she didn't like to bite people, and wasn't getting uglier, not even a little. Jelly Rothstein was a Sephardic beauty in the loudest, sharpest, meanest kind of way. She was dark-eyed and black-haired and wholly unadorned. But light found a way to reflect off her whitely, giving the impression she wore a diamond nose stud and glittery makeup, that silvery bangles clashed and clanged on her wrists, that silvery ear loops bounced next to her neck. Her shape was narrow, but she was skinny so much as she was taught. Even in gym clothes, her body called out, and her skin was the brown of lead-white girls in movies that take place at sleepaway camps in Wisconsin. Like her older sister, Ruth, she was one of the sexiest girls at Aptekisik, and everyone knew it, though few would admit it, because, unlike Ruth, most girls despised her. The Jennies and Ashleys especially. Why they despised her is hard to explain. It started with her face. It was not a cheery face. Jelly had a way of squinting at the person she was talking to, the way of sucking her teeth, of cocking her chin, of twisting her lips. And whereas to me these actions of her face revealed the lithe intelligence at labor behind it, to some, to many, they looked like contempt. This isn't to say she didn't harbor contempt for most kids at school. She certainly did. But rather that even toward those she was friends with, me for example, she made the same faces. If I had to guess, she always made those faces. And by making these faces, she had, unknowingly, alienated herself, which eventually caused her to hold in real contempt the kids from whom she was alienated. After all, she must have thought, what had she ever done to deserve their mistreatment? Whenever they spoke, she paid attention, and she even thought about what they were saying. What all of this meant was that the guys at Aptekisik, who weren't in the cage, were not supposed to like Jelly. And so those who were drawn to her, most guys were, would be cruel from a distance, shouting out, "Bitch," or "Prude," or "Slut," or, if they found themselves inside her orbit, would shove or molest her with book rockets, ass grabs, tit falls, and pinchings. That's why she'd bite when people got close, especially guys. She'd found that when she hit or choked or kicked, it led to more touching as often or not, but biting through skin, drawing blood with her teeth that never failed to back off her aggressors. She'd bitten enough people that it was mostly automatic. Even her friends had to approach her pretty slowly. But she didn't like to do it. She wasn't crazy. And as already stated, she wasn't getting uglier. That's why she wanted people to believe that she poured the milk. She figured they'd try harder to get too close to her, and then she wouldn't need to bite them as often. But letting people believe that her spilling was a pouring was a bad idea. The oldest kind of bad idea in the world. On the sixth day of creation, right after Hashem made Adam from earth, he told him that if he ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, he would surely die. But later that day, when Hashem made Eve, he didn't teach her the law. He told Adam to teach her. According to Mishnah, Adam told her, if you eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, you will surely die. Even touching the tree will kill you. That same afternoon, Eve was standing by the tree of knowledge of good and bad, and the serpent, who was still an unscaly biped, came up to her and said, why don't you eat the fruit from this healthy-looking tree? And Eve said, if I eat it, I will surely die. The serpent said, no, you will become like God. And Eve said, my husband told me that God told me, he told me that even if I touch it, I will die. The serpent knew the law, and so he knew that wasn't accurate when Adam had told Eve about touching the tree. So the serpent plucked the fruit from the tree and held it out to her. He said, I touched it. I'm not dead. Eve said, the law must be different for serpents. The serpent shoved Eve, and she fell on the tree. See, said the serpent, you're still alive. Then the serpent waved the fruit in the face of Eve. You will become like God, the serpent said. And Eve ate the fruit, and she wasn't dead. She brought the fruit to Adam, and Adam ate it, not because Eve told him it was a regular fruit, though she loved him, and so wouldn't lie to him. She told him the fruit was forbidden fruit, and Adam ate the fruit anyway because he confused himself when he twisted the words of God to his wife. He confused himself into believing that words from God were the same as words from man. God had told Adam one thing. Adam changed it to another thing. And then Adam forgot what the original thing was. He forgot that the original thing was different from what he had turned it into. And so while Eve was pushing the bitten fruit in Adam's face, Adam thought, Eve is not dead. I'll become like God. But just as God hadn't told Adam that it was against the law to touch the tree, he hadn't said the fruit of the tree was fast-acting poison either. He'd said, if you eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and bad, you will surely die. You will surely die does not equal you will instantly die. Adam, however, had concluded it did, and since Eve hadn't died instantly after eating the fruit, Adam assumed God had either lied to him or been incorrect. The point of the Mishnah is that it's even worse to twist the wording of a law than it is to break that law, even if you twist it to protect someone you are in love with. If you are twisting the wording once, it becomes hard to stop twisting it. It's because Adam twisted it that people die, and that's why it's advanced to call Eve a temptress. Eve was reasonable, and when it came to jelly, calling, spilling, pouring, the problem was that she would not always have milk available to pour. And even if she happened to have milk to pour, she probably wouldn't have it in her to pour it. That's just not the way she was. She'd never once poured milk on anyone. She'd only ever spilled it. And so even if people didn't go near jelly for a while because they were afraid of getting milk poured on them, all it would take was one person to accidentally get close to jelly and not get milk poured upon them. After that happened, she would have to bite people a lot more often than she would have had to bite them before people thought she was a milk pourer. I explained that to her the day after the incident with Angie Destra. I told Jelly that letting people believe she was a milk pourer was like saying that touching the tree was suicide, since even after the next time she bit someone, people who weren't there to see the biting would think it was said of her that she poured milk on shoes, and it was not true that she poured milk on shoes. Now it is being said that she bites those who stand close to her. Why should I believe it? And they wouldn't believe it, even though it was true. Jelly always bit people who got too close to her. and more lies would spread. They would spread without cease. There's no killing lies. Lies uncovered changed shape, but never die. When Eve got pushed onto the tree by the serpent, she didn't think. What Adam told me about touching the tree was untrue, she thought. What God told Adam about touching the tree was untrue. Adam's lie made God's truth look like a lie, but God never lies. Still, it was a very normal mistake for Eve to make. It is the kind of mistake that happens all the time. I'd say that to Jelly too, and she'd say, "You're telling me I've been a bad Jew?" Israelite, I said. I've been a bad Israelite? No, of course not. Where'd you get that? You didn't lie. I'm just saying that. So, what can I do then? What should I do? There's no killing lies, right? It's too late to fix it. What can I do, Gurian? Nothing. You're right. It's too late to fix it. Don't get upset. You're not a bad Israelite. You're good. You're great. I think you're great. So is everyone else, I said. Right. Sure. Everyone. Great.